Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to this week's recap video. I hope you all had a great 4th of July weekend. It's been really hot the last few days and I'm feeling already a little like, oh, yesterday it was 103 and today is about 100. It does look like we're supposed to get back down into like maybe the 80s for a little bit. And then we've got 4 more days of 100 plus on the 10-day. I can't complain too much because I think some of you guys have been in the hundreds for a lot longer than we have this year at least.
Yeah.
So, you know, and what were you saying to me last night that my dad said?
Oh, yeah. Well, he said that for us, July and August, any day that's not over 100, you just take as a blessing.
It's a gift.
Yeah.
Those days are a gift.
Any day in July and August, it's not 100 is a blessing.
Yeah.
And he's right, because those 2 months for us are just kind of like the dog days.
Yeah, they're
You're just
tough.
trying to survive.
Yeah. Your
Same with the
plants are
garden.
trying to survive and yeah.
Luckily, it cools down here at night.
It does.
If it didn't.
Yeah. So
Nothing would grow.
you know, last night or yesterday rather, we were 103. Well, it cooled down to 73, 30 degree shift. And then like, it's going to be down into the 50s, 57, 59 at night. So when you go from almost 100 down into the 50s to 70s range,
Yeah.
that's a pretty good break because then it does take a little while to get that hot during the day. But
I do
anyway.
not think I could live somewhere if it was hot like this and then never cooled down at night.
And add the humidity on top of that.
Oh, yeah.
Nah.
I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm
me
out,
too.
man.
Me too. We don't have a lot to complain about, I guess. Okay, before we jump into the videos, did want to mention that our Independence sale ends tomorrow night at midnight. We've had a great response from you guys so far. I think I announced it in last week's recap video.
Mm-hmm.
So it's free shipping on orders over $49.
Which isn't hard to do.
No, it really isn't hard to do. So anyway, that's going on still for just today and tomorrow until midnight. First video from this last week was a full June garden tour. And we had an overcast day and we thought, let's get out here and show you guys how things are doing. Lather and Lace said, this says fixed, but what was wrong with the first one? Oh, you re-uploaded the video.
Yeah, so I didn't notice. And a lot of people didn't. I mean, a few people said something, but you know, people say things from time to time and I'm just kind of like, oh, it's probably on their end. I think it was a YouTube problem, but it was sort of like jumping a little bit, like skipping frames.
Oh, it was?
And like, it was not comfortable to watch. It wasn't as if you couldn't watch it.
Sure.
But I didn't really notice it for like a day and a half. Mm-hmm. And then as I watched it, I was like, oh, it's not good at all. So I just re-uploaded it. I re-exported it from Final Cut Pro, re-uploaded it. Mm-hmm. And I think it was on YouTube's end. Mm-hmm. I think that somehow when I was uploading it, like whatever YouTube does on their end to like compress it, something got jacked up. So anyway, I left them both up so you can watch either one of them.
Go check out the jittery one and check out the smooth one.
But that was the idea, is the second time looked better to me.
It seems like something like that happens every once in a while.
Yeah.
Or it's just, we don't really know.
Yeah.
We don't really know why it just happens and you just kind of whatever and move on.
I've got a few people that are members and it's actually really nice because sometimes if I mess something up, one of those people will have seen it the night before, you know, when only a handful of people have seen it. And so I can take it down and re-upload it. But I didn't get anything from anybody. So, and a lot of times I don't like watch the video again once it's uploaded because I've already watched it.
Yeah.
To make sure
you
know,
watched that one for me. I can't watch tours. I can't watch an hour of myself. I just have a hard time with that. So you always watch the recap videos and the tour videos,
right,
usually.
But I don't often watch them once they've been uploaded.
Sure.
So I'm kind of just trusting the process that once it gets uploaded, it looks okay.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Susan said, thank you for all the wonderful videos. They've truly helped me transform my garden. Well, that's really fun to hear. Have you surpassed your parents on your knowledge of gardening and garden plants? Nah.
It's just different areas.
That's true. That's true.
It's different stuff. Like you're way more knowledgeable about hydrangeas than your dad is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I've experimented with way more varieties at this point.
And same with your mom. There's certain aspects of gardening that you have a lot more knowledge in, and there's certain aspects that she has more knowledge in.
I don't think I have more knowledge than I have more knowledge than my parents. I mean, there might be like certain little tiny areas that I've just experimented more with.
Yeah, that's what I
mean. But I think it just depends on like, oh yeah, I've grown that before, and you haven't.
Right.
So here's my experience, and I think that's all gardeners, you know. But I still ask them all kinds of questions all the time. I called my dad the other day, like, hey Dad, how do I mix this? You know.
Yeah.
And so he helps me out with that. So also, how often do you fertilize your arbs that are in pots?
We don't.
They get it like Plantone. I toss Plantone in there this spring.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I do that with my
touch 'em.
Boxwoods and the arbs. So I know they get fertilizer at least once a year. They're hanging in.
Yeah.
Give Grace 12801 said front gate furniture is having a 4th of July sale. Grab those chairs. So a sale like instead of what were they, Aaron? Like $2,000 a chair?
Is that the regular price?
Oh, I don't know. I think that's probably an exaggeration. Hold on. Let me see what they say. What are they called again? Carlton?
Yeah. I think I remember whatever.
Carlisle. Sorry.
Carlisle, yeah. Whatever the price is, I remember it's one of those, even when they're on sale, you kind of choke still a little bit on the price.
I can't remember what I got them for before, but I feel like I got them for less than this. I mean, it's been some years that I purchased this furniture.
Yeah.
Okay, so one chair. Hold on, it's loading. They're just so pretty. However, I did find some, was it on Ballard Designs? That I think were cheaper than these are. Oh, for crying out loud. I think it depends on what kind of fabric you choose, of course. And of course, it is moving at a snail's pace. But the lowest price I see here is $1,279
Per chair.
per chair.
Yeah.
That's just like even at a sale price.
They do run deep discounts sometimes, like 40-50% off.
Yeah, from time to time they do. And I just like looked and dreamt about these chairs for a really long time. And then I did get a really good price. But I bought like a grouping. I bought a love seat and 2 chairs with a coffee table and 2 end tables. I got a grouping, and then I bought a circular dining table with 4 chairs. And both of them, I got them at 2 separate times, and I waited. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like too, when I start in with a specific design of a chair, like I kind of want to keep going with that.
Sure.
I don't know if I want to like lock in
Yeah, right.
this collection. I kind of feel like I already halfway there locking it in.
It's too bad because like I feel like they know that their stuff looks good.
Why can't somebody cheaper knock them off? It doesn't make any sense to me. However, there is a huge quality difference. Those
true.
are heavy. They are heavy, well-made chairs.
Right.
Sometimes you do get what you pay for.
You can kind of tell the difference.
Yeah.
It's like some things are made and you can kind of tell like, oh, this will last forever and you'll want to take care of it.
Yeah.
Like you said, they're heavy.
Yeah.
So they don't
budge.
They don't blow around.
No, they do not.
They don't blow over in the wind.
No. They're not even close to blowing over in the wind. Okay. What's the olive tree looking small tree bush or shrub right in front of the Artemisia at 4227? A button bush? Yeah, that is a Sugar Shack button bush. Not as big as the one on the west side yet, but hopefully it'll get there. AXXXXA said, where are those white Fama scabiosa seeds from? So those are the white pincushion flowers that I start from seed. I got those from Johnny's at one point in time. Fama white and Fama blue. They're both amazing varieties.
It's scabiosa.
I'm going to have to watch those here pretty soon. A couple months. Getting closer to October. It's kind of like a fall tradition. Viewer 2023 said, does anyone know why they don't feed the koi fish anymore? Because they are falling down on their job of eating all of the string algae. It's their own fault. They need to get after that algae. They're doing a better job.
Yeah.
Or it's looking better. But there's still plenty of food for them. Even when there isn't a tremendous amount of string algae, all of the pond people we've talked to say the feeding of the fish is just a fun, fuzzy, like warm fuzzy for you. They don't need it.
Right.
Like they've got what they need in the pond already.
Yeah.
So.
And if you have an algae issue,
you're going to make it worse.
Yeah. Because what happens is that if you add more of that food, they poop. And so that breaks down and feeds the algae even more. So instead of them eating the algae and breaking that down, so you're introducing kind of just more of a problem.
Yeah. Amber said, is there any consideration for removing the juniper? I know it's been there forever, but it's close to your roof, has spider mites, and makes a mess in the flower bed. Is this tree the new mulberry? Possibly. I don't know. When you actually start listing out the reasons like you just did to having it removed, it does make some amount of sense. I never look up and I'm like, oh, what a glorious tree. I just don't tend to look up at it. It just creates shade, which is very, very nice over there. However, our red point maples are putting on more size. The juniper does drop stuff everywhere. It does create a spider mite problem because you can't spray something that's, you can.
Maybe you could. Maybe, I don't know. Can you rent like a, boom truck or something? Just start spraying neem
Well,
max.
how much does that cost? Like
everywhere.
Like think about it. If you have to spray this tree, when you're spraying for spider mites, you have to spray at least 3 weeks in a row.
Well, okay. Is there a systemic that you can
Not for spider mites that I'm aware of. If any of you guys are aware of it, tree and shrub does not work. Anything imidacloprid based does not work with spider mites. It actually makes it worse. So don't do that. But that's the only systemic that I am aware of.
Yeah.
If there was one for spider mites, I would use it. The old Google machine.
Yeah, bust out the...
See what happens. I wonder how old that tree is. Do you have any guess, Erin?
I mean, 50, 60 years old at least.
Oh, at least.
Yeah. But I mean, it could be a 50-year-old tree.
It could be, I think it's more.
Might
is
be
it in
more.
that original picture? I think it is. The painting of the house before the 80s. So that would be... You're not finding anything super quick there?
Not super quick. No.
Oh, bummer.
Okay, well, like bonide has systemic granules.
Is it acephate?
For...
I think that's a spray still.
It's a granule.
Oh, a granule.
Maybe I'll look into this.
Yeah, I think that's an acephate base.
Would that work? I mean, it's just, the point is it's you sprinkle it on the ground, and like, okay, it's a juniper. I don't know how many pollinators, like 0, right? You're not hurting pollinators. It's a juniper.
Right.
There's no blooms that bees are coming and doing anything on. So like from that perspective, I can't imagine there being any downside to using a systemic on a juniper tree.
Sure.
Right?
Well, I would think so, yeah.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Right. Correct us if we're wrong. Because I kind of am along the same lines as you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would think that if we could do some kind of a systemic on that, on a juniper,
How much on a juniper that big?
Yeah, I don't know.
To ask Bonide if they can package it in like really big bags.
Yeah. Well, I'll look into it because that's what's coming up is that Bonide's insecticide systemic granule.
Yeah, we'll let you know if we figure something out. Jan said, are you supposed to trim off the strawberry runners to encourage fruit production and not more plants? Probably a good idea to do that. In fact, it's been on my mind to go out there and groom up those plants. They've produced so many runners, so many baby plants. I'm actually going to root a whole bunch of them as well. So we'll go through that process. I just had the kids run out and harvest a bowl of strawberries last night, and the plants are looking so great. I'm really just overall very happy with how those plants are doing back there. Lisa said, do you guys take some professional family photos on your property? The kiddos grow up so quickly. I hope you do. We have never once had professional family photos taken of us.
No, never.
It's just not my jam. It's never been my jam. I don't know. Maybe it's because I didn't really grow up with that.
Yeah.
Did you?
No.
No, it wasn't a thing. I mean, I remember seeing
I don't love looking at myself.
It's kind of fun though. Like you see, like through
to
the
look
years,
back, yeah.
I think that would be fun. We have so many videos though, and pictures of things that I don't think we'll miss that. I mean, maybe like a side by side.
Yeah.
When I was younger, my family took a couple, like the church we were going to, they did something like they had a photographer set up. I kind of remember that. And we went to the church and had our picture taken as a family a couple of times. So we have a couple of family photos, all of us together, but yeah, it's just not a thing. Like coordinating outfits and you would hate that. You'd be like, I'm out. I'm not going to go. I'd probably say the same thing though.
Yeah, it's not something I want.
Yeah.
Personally.
Molly said, does the compost you use for mulch smell? It does not at all. Not even one little bit. Guadalupe Rodriguez said, did I watch the first one? Yes. Did I rewatch the Fix updated one? Also yes. Well, thank you for that. That's awesome. Okay, next video was planting 4 beautiful sun-loving perennials and spraying for aphids. So we had some beautiful stuff. We had some Stokes asters. We had salvia. We had Veronica. I think that's this video. I feel like I've planted a lot of things this last week. I know I had Veronica that video because we planted it around sedum that I then found aphids on. It was Veronica, geraniums, hardy geraniums, some other things. It'll probably come up, hopefully. Lori said, love the button bush. When would you sow those columbine seeds after you harvest them? So fun. All the pollinators coming to visit your garden. You are so inspirational to us gardeners. Yeah, the button bush on the west side is the Sugar Shack variety, same variety of the one we just looked at the picture of. It's enormous. I'm going to look and see what it says for max size here. Sometimes they change the stats on these things through the years. Okay, so it says 4 to 5 feet tall and wide, which it's definitely over 5 feet tall and definitely over 5 feet wide. But I thought for some reason it was supposed to only be 3 to 4 feet tall and wide, and that's why I put it there. But yeah, I stood next to it and showed you like how tall the branch was. I think it's over 6 feet, the tallest one. The columbine seeds, when we would sow those, you could sow them in the fall, just scatter them around on the ground and they'll come up in the spring. Stacy said, I'm surprised to see you put fertilizer in the yarrow holes I've been avoiding. Do they continue to receive weekly water soluble fertilizer after planting? No, the Biotone is the only fertilizer those get. Honestly, with your yarrow, you could skip that for sure. That's right, I had Firefly Fuchsia yarrow. That was another one of the perennials I put in. They're beautiful. I think it's Firefly Fuchsia, right?
That sounds right.
Yeah, beautiful pink yarrow. They went in around the pond. Anyway, yeah, so you could absolutely skip it. Yarrow's super not fussy, and they do not require a lot of fertilizer. Kathy said, so penstemon doesn't bloom again? Penstemon doesn't bloom again? Did I say it didn't?
Is it, does it bloom more than once per year?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I need to deadhead some of our penstemon out there, but it definitely will rebloom. Did I say that? Sometimes I can't remember the things I've said. Leanne said, the button bush is gorgeous in that spot. Could you just prune it back to size control versus pulling it and moving it? Yes. And I'm just going to refer back to the Sugar Shack information page here. Does it bloom on old wood or new wood? Blooms on new wood. So I can cut it back early spring. I'm going to do that this next year. Maybe we'll take it down by about half. See what happens.
Not supposed to do that.
Well, no, we're going to do it. Who says?
I think everybody says 1/3, right? You never
That's
cut anything
hydrangeas.
back. Oh, it's everything.
Oh,
like you
it's
never
baloney. Don't listen. You see what happened to the...
smoke bush?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I suppose sometimes rejuvenation prunes are a thing. So that's true.
Valley said, okay, Laura, so why are you literally ignoring the areas next to the benches along the side of the house? What's up with that? The all caps. That sets a tone.
Oh.
That's a tone right there, I'm sensing. I like blank space. I need negative space in my life. If I go into a space that has too much going on, oh my gosh, it just sets me into this like... If we did anything in those spaces next to the benches, I talked to you about possibly putting in like some of that steel edging like in a shape and planting within the shape on either side of the benches. So whatever I put in there was very contained and there was very clean lines. I think that's maybe the only way that I could do that. We might be looking at a boxwood change out in that area though.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, especially on the other side of the lane.
Right.
The ones under the juniper, ugh. If we can get some of those new gen, the Independence or Freedom boxwoods that we just planted, they're so
I wonder
much better.
though, okay, however, it's now that we know that the juniper was kind of like
I know.
maybe the
But the
biggest
growth
culprit.
habit, no matter where the boxwoods are, the growth habit is not that great.
That's true. And, we also had issues with them around the ram's urn.
Yeah.
They're looking a lot better now.
But give them a stiff windstorm with a lot of rain, and they're just,
Yeah. Until you rejuvenation pruned them.
I don't want to do that. And again, it's one of those things that we really loved them in the beginning. These are the Sprinter boxwoods, and they grew really fast, and that was one of the things that we were really loving about them. But you don't really know until you've had a plant, especially if it's a hedge style plant. You don't know for several years, at least 5 years, what this plant is going to actually do for you in that space and how it's going to behave as a hedge. So, it's kind of hard because the years leading up to when they were actually put to more of the test with winter time, it was more of a winter sort of situation that made them kind of look the way they do, and some heavy rains the next spring. But yeah, so the same thing could happen with these new ones.
Yeah.
You never know because this is our first experience, but just in the container and presentation, it's so much better. Even better than Winter Gems, really, in their initial presentation in the container.
The way that these came, these look like the most premium boxwoods that I've ever seen in a pot.
Right.
But again, like you said, it's
like
you don't want to toot
see.
it too loud,
Yeah.
And be like, this is amazing, you should go get it, until you kind of have a little experience with it.
Right. Donna said, you've made me a better gardener. Oh, I like that comment. Thank you. Love the yarrow. Have 3 in my garden. Any advice as they seem to flop? If I cut back, flop. That came out the same. Flop. If I cut back before bloom, will they become more sturdy or dense? Or since it's their 3rd season, can I divide? Usually if they flop, they're getting too much water, not enough light, or yes, they could be divided. So try those 3. Or they might have too much fertilizer. Russian sage and sedum do the Brush and sage, yeah, and sedum do the exact same things, and yarrow behaves quite similarly. LOS, So question, what do you mean with cutback? The blooms or the whole plant? No wonder my garden looks so meh. It depends on the plant, and it depends on how fussy you want to be about cutback. Most of the time, we like to just, even like on salvia and things that you can be a little fussier about cutting back so you get blooms faster, the plant just looks kind of like a snag after you do that, and it never really looks that good the rest of the season. My preferred method, if you get after early enough, cut that thing back down to the ground, a couple inches above the ground, let it reflush, like salvias, veronicas, nepeta. We're still cutting back nepeta right now. And the new flush is pushing up through the center, but we are just going ahead. I think it's early enough. We can just cut it all back, even the fresh stuff, and get it fresh again, all the way fresh. So it kind of takes time, though, to know the things that you can do that with and not, and some experimentation as well. Maynard Greenhouse said, "Hi, Laura, not sure what time of day you're spraying neem oil, but are you not worried about damaging the leaves on a warm, sunny day?" I didn't really worry about it, but probably shouldn't be spraying them when it's really super duper hot. I was out pretty early in the morning that day, so it was still on the cool side. So it had dried by the time the really hot part of the day had occurred. See, there's so many like little details and nuances that I just forget to share. I just kind of share what I'm doing and move on without thinking through all those things. That's why these questions are so great. Phyllis Phillips said, "Do you ever get stung by bees being so close to them?" Man, the last time I got stung by a bee was in the greenhouse. I was filming a video for you guys, and it crawled out. It was in the winter time, and a wasp crawled out from underneath the chair I was sitting on and stung me right in the bum. That hurt. That's the first time that's ever happened. But no, I don't typically get stung.
I don't either.
When was the last time you got stung?
Do you know, I don't know that I've ever been stung by a bee.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I've been stung by wasps. Like if, I worked for a cable company and we opened up pedestals and like in people's front yards and stuff. And they had bees in them all the time. And we had lots of spray. But sometimes you stick your hand somewhere, you don't see something. And so I've gotten stung by wasps, but I'm not sure I've ever in my lifetime been stung by like a honeybee or bees that are on, salvia and veronica and things like that, which I'm assuming are all honeybees.
Yeah. The last time I was stung by a honeybee was when I was a kid, and I was running on my grandparents' lawn, and they had clover blooming in their lawn. And that's why I don't want clover ever as a lawn substitute, because I got stung on the bottom of my foot.
Because you, like, by necessity have to step on, if you're going to be walking on the grass.
Yeah.
The grass, the clover.
Well, and to get to they had a swimming pool. To get to their swimming pool, we'd like bust out their back door and run across the lawn to get to the pool, and I stepped on a bee.
Yeah.
Okay. Next video was an update tour on Monica's garden, and that one was fun. It's so fun to go back and see a space, especially like theirs, that they've taken such pride in and have taken such good care of and have delighted in. That, to me, was worth every ounce of work and all of it. It was just so worth it, because I feel like the recipients were just so grateful, and so, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that not all projects feel like that. Plus, she's my sister, and it's my sister and brother-in-law, so that was really fun. Ivy said, "Love Monica's garden. What is the variegated Jacob's ladder at minute 1808? I need that in my yard." Oh boy. Let me see if I can find an actual variegated. I can see a actual name for it. Stairway to Heaven. It's probably what it is. Sally Summerfield said, "How fun and beautiful. Love the overall style and all the different varieties. Question, do you move all the potted trees to a greenhouse in the winter, or do they survive fine in their pots in the yard?" Monica leaves them all in her yard. I mean, if there's citrus or rosemary outside, she will bring them in, but everything else, like the dwarf peach trees and things like that, stay outside. Kathy said, "Thank you, Monica, for allowing us to your home and seeing your garden. Thank you, Laura, for taking us along with you. I was wondering, does Monica like marigold flowers? Is that the reason that she planted them in each raised bed, or is there another reason for planting marigolds in your vegetable garden that I don't know about?" Pest control. I mean, they're said to repel a lot of pests, and I don't know. I think you would have to have like pretty much a solid border in order to create a pest control sort of situation or more. But I think she just truly likes them. They're just like kind of a sweet old-timey looking flower, and I think she likes the way they look in there. Paula said, "I love the update on Monica's garden. I also love your tours of your parents' garden and the renovations. Does your brother have a garden that you have worked on? We'd done one project there, and it was a big one. It was
Yeah.
right after Benjamin was born, and we put in a paver patio. So they picked out a spot in their yard that they wanted to have a paver patio and a fire pit, and we did the whole thing. We dug it out. We put in the pavers. We put in the fire pit. We bought new furniture for them and pots and stuff. It was a really fun project. I think that's the only one we've done. They really like doing projects like on weekends and stuff.
Yeah.
They work on it. My brother and sister-in-law are both into that. They put in a whole new area for grapes this year and vine crops, and I think maybe one of these days we can go over there because they've ended up with a lot of plants from our house.
Oh, yeah, right.
Too. Barbara said, Nick and Monica's garden is lovely. What are the name tags she uses? I would love to get those for my hosta collection. You could email her at andrewseed@gmail.com. I think they're just copper. I think she uses the copper tea labels. Can't remember what brand they are, but you might just email her and she can let you know exactly. Phoebe said, who's older among these two lovely sisters? I am. I'm 3 years older than Monica. Melissa said, can Monica tell us the maker and model of her perfect fountain? I really want to find a good small one, but I'm not confident I can select a good one after watching all of Laura's struggles. So I think that one was from Athens Concrete. Athens something. Also, you could email her and find out what the name of that is. andrewseed@gmail.com. Gwen said, Monica, it looks so good. I've been looking for a trellis for my 2 varieties of honeysuckle. I remember how beautiful Nick's looked. Any chance he would share his plans? I think I can get a link for you. In fact, let me just text her about that right now so that I don't forget, because I think at one time we did share the link somewhere. That's the last question from that video. And thank you for all of the encouraging and sweet comments that you guys left for Monica there on that video, because they have done such a beautiful job and it's just so fun to go see that. See it looking so gorgeous. Okay, next video is cleaning and hanging curtains in the Heartley and planting beans. That was a day. It was just so warm in the Heartley that day, but it's been nagging on me to get in there and get it cleaned out and get those curtains hung. I've since hung 3 more curtains and I needed 1 more panel. Oh. And I can hang up another one on the other end to protect the plants in the morning, which I really wish I would have had up over the last 2 days because it's been so hot. But it does help quite a lot. Anyway, we did some cleaning, vacuuming, wiping stuff down, plant grooming, took care of some scale with some Rose RX, and then we planted some Kentucky Wonder pole beans in the raised bed vegetable garden that is so beautiful and that I don't ever want to remove. Shelley said, why did you choose to install curtains instead of using a light deflecting film that you don't have to remove and wash? I don't know a whole lot about light deflecting films. If it's going to make the glass look different at all, I probably wouldn't use it. Also, I don't know how easy those are to put on. Maybe they're really easy, but in my mind, I think I'm going to end up with creases and bubbles, and it's not going to look...
It's going to look weird.
It's going to look weird and like an unprofessional, because I am an unprofessional with window stuff.
And like a mirror, maybe?
Put it up. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if it would or not.
Light deflecting film.
But the curtains are just a temporary solution, so they'll be up for July and August, and then I can take them all the way down. It'll take me a matter of minutes to collapse what I put up there. And we can just put them in a box and store them up till next summer. Or we can leave
essentially
them
it's
up.
like a shower curtain.
Yeah, it's
like what you've done.
It's like a big tension rod
for
a shower curtain kind of thing. I don't think that's what it was labeled.
But it's the same concept.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. 308078 said, hi, not sure if anyone else asked or if you mentioned info on the curtain rod you used. I got it on Amazon. I just had to make sure I got one that was 1, white, and 2, would be long enough. So let's see, the one I got is called a white tension curtain rod. It's a ZYRW, white tension curtain rod, 51 to 165 inches. No drilling. You can get it white or black. And it was right around $50. So I feel like that was pretty good for what it's doing. Pretty cheap solution. Pibble Party said, I love your videos and I just got my purple large kneeling pad yesterday. Can't wait to use it on some badly needed weeding projects. Yay. The Heartley is beautiful, but would you do it again with what you know now? What would you change about it, if anything? Yeah, I would still do it.
Maybe just the flooring?
I'd change the flooring. I love the look of the flooring. There's nothing wrong with the look of the flooring. That's the exact look I wanted. I wanted it to look like it wasn't a prefab kind of floor. I wanted it to be natural stone, and I wanted it to not be like perfect. But now I understand why people want that, because it's level. It's easier to clean. So we probably will swap that out.
One day.
I would also move the electrical panel to the north side to nest behind a bench, because I just don't think you would notice it.
Right.
And I knew I was going to put benches back there, but for some reason I thought it was going to look egregious. And so I thought, well, just tuck it in on the west side. I could have been better off on the east side, honestly.
Yeah.
But I still am going to do something around it. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I just need to do it. I need to order a couple of things first. And then you won't even see it. It'll like poof, disappear, I think. We'll see. But you know what? I wouldn't make it larger.
No, it's the perfect size.
It's the perfect size.
I mean, you know, if it was like a foot larger, for the prefab sizes that Heartley sells.
Yeah,
it
without it being
size.
a custom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the price goes up significantly when you do custom.
Sure,
what do they call that? There's a name. They don't use the word custom.
Oh, it's bespoke.
Bespoke. Yeah.
Bespoke. The one size larger, I can't remember the names. Ours
you
is
can charge extra when you use words like bespoke.
Yes. So we have the Grand Lodge, right? And then the Grand Manor is the next one. Yeah. I don't like the size ratio of that one. I don't think it's as charming looking.
Right.
So, I mean, we could have put that one in potentially, and it would have been quite a lot larger. But I just didn't feel like the roofline matched the size quite as nicely as this one did.
What's their new one called that's even bigger?
Oh, I don't know.
Like the biggest one?
I mean, who wouldn't want endless amounts of space
to
do that in? But then you have to pay for the heating of it and the cooling of it and all of that stuff too. And so that's also something and the window cleaning, all of that is something we considered before we put it in. Every decision that we make whenever we're doing something new on the property, we look at the future and how much is this going to cost us if we need to hire it out, if we're going to heat it like full time or cool it full time, how much will that cost? And can we afford that? Or is that a dumb thing to do?
Yeah.
So we weigh all of those things out before we make a decision typically.
Victorian Pavilion is what it is. Oh boy. It's a big one.
It's a big one. I like ours it retains that charming kind of feel, I feel like, before getting into the bigger sizes.
Yeah.
2254 Dolphin said, did one DeWalt battery last for all the vacuuming you did? No. I started off with the first battery, had 2 bars of power. I went through that one, and then I went through not quite another second one. So I do have a little charger underneath the sink, and I have 2 batteries. So I always have one on the charger, either full or charging at that moment, and then while I'm using the other one. So I didn't have to stop or anything. Nancy said, in Ohio here, we've had high 90s with the low 70s during the night and humidity levels in the 80s. So we're nice and toasty. Have you considered either screen doors or the magnetic screens over the doors? It offers shade and would help with the debris, just not the dust as much. We put some on our garage door and love it. Something to consider, for sure. Screens. We did buy screens for the windows. Yeah. We didn't have them installed because we didn't realize they actually butt out from the building like significantly.
Yeah.
And they would have made it look really weird. And then in the end, we have our doors wide open anyway.
Right.
It would have been a waste. But if we were to do it, we'd have to do all the windows and the doors to keep the bugs out. That would be nice.
Sure.
Keeping it bug-free in there, that would help out tremendously. Sharon said, have any of your dahlias sprouted? Yep, a whole bunch of them have. They're growing. I just weeded. In fact, maybe you've seen the video by the time this one goes out. I went out and weeded that whole big row. And now that I've weeded, I think they'll take off. There was so much competition with weeds out there. They were not getting very much light at all, and probably competition for nutrients and water as well. User said, do you ever have to clean all the glass as well in the Heartley, especially when you do deep cleaning every now and then? I would imagine that's a big job. We actually hire that. We have our windows washed. That's one of the things that we have a Jeff. His name is Jeff. He comes 4 times a year. So that's one of the things that when we moved into this house, we actually, like all the things we thought about the amount of space. Can we do all the outside work ourselves? Can we do all the inside work ourselves? What is going to make it like doable? So we have Jeff like once a season, once in the winter, once in spring, summer, and fall. And he comes and does everything, all the windows inside and out of every outbuilding, the greenhouse and the house. He just texts me a couple days before and says, hey, I have you on my schedule this week. Is that good? Are we good to go? And he comes out and does it. And he does it fast. Like he's gone. Yeah. It's like a day or less. And he has everything done. I mean, that's the flower shed, the barn, the chicken coop, the greenhouse, the house. Mary Lou Young said, does Heartley sell shades for the lower windows? Might be worth the investment for a permanent solution. Do they? I don't think they do. And, you have to remember that they're a UK company. They have an American branch that is thriving. But even in the US, I think they do a lot of work on the East Coast. They're based in like Boston, I think, or something like that. Somewhere in Massachusetts. And I mean, greenhouses like this are beautiful, but in our climate in the summer, they're kind of unusable for like 2 months.
you have to do shades, but I don't think that they plan for this demographic because there just aren't that many people here.
I'm trying to remember if that was even an option when we were looking. Because it's hard to, like, the windows that push out, how would you cover that?
Right. No, I'm fairly certain that's not an option that they sell.
That's why I went with the color of curtains that I did. I was trying to match the upper curtains, or the shades that we ordered with the Heartley. And I do think that was a good move. I thought about doing, like, a real pretty pattern, and I think it would have just been too much. I think having them be clean and matching is a good look.
We need to pull those down, those shades.
And wash them.
Yeah, this fall.
Yeah. We need to do like a nice day and get them out on a big lawn and just roll them all the way out.
Yeah.
Do something. Yeah. Clayton said, I noticed that the roof vents aren't open. Are they automatic with those oil cylinders, or do you have to open and close those manually too? They should be automatic, but they aren't open, and I think it would be helpful if they were.
Yeah.
We need to get in there and mess with them, don't we?
Yeah, we do. That's just like hasn't been top of mind. Yeah. We took them out for the winter time because we heat it, and if it warms up, it warms up a lot in the wintertime, and we kind of want to like keep all the heat.
We were seeing them open, and it's like, no, it's snowing.
Yeah.
We want to retain the heat.
Yeah. So if the sun comes out and heats up in there, I don't even want them opening at all in the wintertime.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those like twice a year, you need to like either put the things in or take them out so that they open automatically.
We need to do that. I actually didn't realize they were still shut until you told me that. But that would help. I was actually thinking I should bring in an extra fan like at floor level too, just to help push some air in the bottom. Next video, planting 20 shrubs on the north berm, incredible ball hydrangea issue, and a brick pillar update. So we started off with the incredible hydrangea issue. We had one plant that I thought was actually all the way dead or on its way out, and it ended up being like a quarter of it.
Yeah.
But they're so like growing together as a hedge that I thought it was the nice growth I was seeing. I thought it was from the ones flanking, the one that was starting to wilt and die. So I got in there to prune it, and I started pruning out branches and realized, I have more than half the shrub is still here and looking good. So that was a happy thing. Still don't know what was wrong with it. Everything looks fine.
Sure.
Like I cannot find any issue around it, in it. We're used to seeing lots of different issues in our area.
Yeah.
So like we can usually pinpoint what's going on most of the time. And then I went out and planted 15 quickfire fab hydrangeas, a couple of black lace elderberry, a cotoneaster, one of the new Durvellas for next year, and a weeping birch, a Young's weeping birch on the north berm. I think that's going to look really pretty, and it's fun just to start putting some stuff out there. And then the mason, how would you call them? Masonry?
Yeah, masons.
Masons. They were here working on the brick pillars up at our entryway, and they are done with their part, and they are beautiful. They are so beautiful. Like, I'm so happy with them.
So now I'm working with a company to get the pier caps.
Yep.
Is that what they're called?
It's a company called Haddonstone that started in the UK, much like Heartley, and now they have a branch in the US. It's out of Colorado, and they sell the most beautiful, and they can custom. We actually have to have a custom cap built.
I don't know that it'll actually be custom.
You don't think so?
I think it's just not listed on their website.
Okay.
All the stuff they listed was like 3.5 bricks was the highest, 3.5 bricks wide was the highest capstone that they would sell. But I think that ours is a 4.5 because it's a little bit larger. But I think that they sell a 4.5.
Their gallery of pictures shows so many different things that they've done that's probably correct. And so we're going to have a cap, a concrete cap, and then it'll look kind of like molding a little bit, like kind of like the bottom of the pillar. And then there'll be a big finial on the top. And that will just be the icing. And I think the lights, I should track them, but they should be here any day. Oh. And then we'll have the electricians out to do the lights, and then we can start landscaping. But seeing those bricks go up, it really just makes that area feel like
stately.
Yeah. I just was a little bit worried about the size of the brick pillars.
Oh, really?
I just kept thinking 3 feet is so big. That is massive. And then I saw them going in. I'm like, oh, I don't know. They're going to look so chunky.
It's such a big gate, though.
It is. And they look perfect where they are.
The gate ended up being a little larger than I expected, but I was happy.
Yeah.
When I saw it, I was like, oh, man, that's awesome.
That's pretty.
Because you know how when you, we didn't order it online, but you know how when you order things online and then you get it in the mail, you're like, oh, I didn't realize how small this is.
Yeah.
Like if you try to order furniture on Amazon, it's always like child furniture.
Yeah. Or it's just real flimsy and yeah.
But yeah, these gates ended up being like
Yeah.
Awesome.
By the time we were done with our project, they had got, I think it was about this far done, the first pillar. So we were able to at least show you that much of it. And I think the next video that I film, I'll run out and I'll show you the finished brick part and then talk through some of the other things. We've also considered taking out a little piece of the fence around there, which I actually think
is a good idea.
It might be a good idea. We'll have to move some stuff. We'll have to move 2 trees and possibly some conduit. But I think, I mean, if we want it to be grand and balanced, we could do it, but it's going to take a little doing, which I have to decide if it's worth it.
Yeah.
And I'm okay going either way. But, I mean, I feel all in with the big brick pillars and the gate up there. Stephanie said maybe voles in the hydrangeas. You know, I looked around because I thought, well, maybe someone's eating the roots, or because that's happened with gophers before, in particular with me. Not that I thought a gopher was all the way up there, but it could be voles. I didn't find anything like that. And then given the fact that most of the shrub excuse me, was still okay, it's got to be something different. So I'm going to continue to watch that plant and see if any other parts of it start to slowly die out. I mean, who knows? Who knows? April Rain said, question, is there going to be a light fixtures on the gate bricks on each side? Yes. When you drive into your property and when you drive out. Oh, on each side. No.
I asked you that.
I know. We're just putting them on the front. I think it would look weird to do it 2-sided.
Well, you know, I was thinking about that a little bit more. We've got the trees that are kind of...
right behind it?
Yeah. And eventually we'll have lights. They either go up or down.
Yeah.
So we'll probably end up lighting the trees on our property side, and on the external property side, we'll have the lights on the bricks. So I think that's how it's going to work.
That'll look good, I think. And it'll add a little depth to have some light a little bit further back. Also, are you going to plant around them as well? Maybe a hedge? It's going to be beautiful. Yeah, we've got some thoughts on what we're going to be planting around there.
Still need numbers.
Oh, I know.
For you.
Plants, I know. Judy said, when someone calls from the gate, does it also go to your cell phone? It does. It goes to mine.
Well, it goes to both of ours.
Does it go to yours now?
It shows up as a phone call, which is great.
It says call from gate.
Yeah, you open it and it opens up the app instead of opening up like your phone app normally. Yeah, I love it.
I do too. And then it says, then if it does call cell, can you open gate from your phone? Yes, you can. Or do you have to give code to person and gate? No, I can open it. Like I could open it right now from my phone if I wanted to, which is nice.
It pulls up the camera. So when you swipe to accept the call, it just pulls up the camera for whoever's at the gate. So you can see who you're talking to, and then you can just talk to them.
We don't even have to be here.
They can't see you, obviously.
Yeah, if it was somebody that we wanted to let in and we weren't here, we could let them in.
I will say, though, it's fairly rare that people hit the call button because most of the time, anybody who's coming, we kind of know. And like we've asked them to come for a certain thing and I've given them a gate code. Yeah. So they just enter in a code.
Right.
So it doesn't happen very often. Sometimes it's like FedEx needing a signature on something.
Right. And love Paul for giving water to the sunflowers. Yeah. Putting the row of drip through those sunflowers up front. That was really fun. Small Holding It Hill High said, will the evergreen trees in the back ever naturalize with roots deep enough that they don't need drip anymore?
Yeah.
At some point.
Probably. Yeah. In fact, well, I guess it's hard to say because a lot of times there's other stuff around. And so you're running drip to maybe like the shrubs that will need water, but then the
we'll be able to take from away.
The evergreens get some of the other stuff's water. So it's hard to say exactly.
Well, our neighbors, I mean, all lines neighbors' lawns. So there's water from neighbors' flower beds and lawns too on the back side. So they're not just getting it from the front side in the end.
Yeah.
Jules said, do you get verticillium? Verticillium? I don't know if that's how you say it. Verticillium, I know what you mean. Wilt there. That's what this looks like to me. I think it can happen to hydrangeas, but not sure. Just something to consider, but hope it's not. Which verticillium, well, I believe is some type of fungus. And I think you get it through the soil. And I would have to test the bark, and maybe I will. If you go and scrape up the top layer of bark, sometimes you can see some brown streaks inside, like that cambium layer. And that's indicative of the verticillium wilt, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't see any of that. I didn't actively scrape a bunch of the branches to double check. But again, I will be watching. I'll go check for that. But I will be watching that plant to see if anything slowly spreads to either the rest of that plant or anything else in that bed. I'd hate that if that happened. Ugh. Mrs. Handy said, probably a silly question, but if the power goes out, how would you manually open the gate and still maintain security for your own for your property? You give me the motivation to keep going in my own garden. We can manually open the gate. It's just a pain.
And batteries.
You can put batteries in there.
No, it's on batteries. It's got batteries.
Gotcha.
But like anything, it's like they don't last forever, but they should last long enough to get you past a power outage. But if you've got a power outage for multiple days, you're going to have to, get a generator or something like that.
Sure. Monica just sent me the link for that trellis plan. So we'll put it in the video or in the description down below. She said that he followed this basic plan, link below, and then just changed the measurements to match their space. Yuri5405 said, Laura, is that a gas station nozzle at the end of your hose? Yeah, so I explained in the video toward the end that there's one hose on our property that has a gas nozzle on the end because it has an automatic turn off when water hits the end of it. So we'll put that in the water tank when we need to fill it. And so instead of having to sit back there and monitor it or possibly overflow the water tank, it'll automatically turn off when the tank fills up. And
Which is awesome.
It is awesome. I tried to get that nozzle off for the video though.
Because you didn't want it to look like you're putting diesel on your plants?
It's heavy, so I don't care about that because I can explain why I'm using it, but it was heavy to move around and I just thought, it'd be so much easier to use my wand and I can reach a little further, but I couldn't get it off. It was on there so tight. And I thought, I don't have time for this. I'm going to use it. And it worked fine.
We should probably swap out those hose links for 100-foot ones to be able to reach.
Because they're just barely too short, even if just one of them.
Yeah.
If one of them was 100-footer, like the back one.
Sure.
Because you can, that would be nice. YT579 said, so envious of your hydrangea. They're so beautiful. A question about the hedge at 528. The boxwoods look yellowish. Do they need added iron or is this a hot weather condition? My opinion is that the boxwoods do not like the amount of water that the hydrangeas need to thrive. I think it's an incompatibility issue in this particular spot.
Yeah.
If these were panicle hydrangeas, it wouldn't be an issue because panicles don't need as much water as arborescens type hydrangeas in our area. But then we were talking about it the other night. The boxwoods on the other side of the walkway that run parallel to this hedge, they look yellowish too, but not quite as yellow.
Yeah.
What do you think it could be?
I don't know. I mean, it could be a water thing, but I don't know. I just don't know.
Has anybody treated him with chelated iron just out of curiosity to see if that helps?
Not recently. Definitely not recently.
It'd be worth a shot.
Yeah, we could. Although we have given those hydrangeas some chelated iron because there was a few errant branches that were coming out a little yellow. And whenever you see that, it's like, oh, quick, give it some chelated iron. But those
hydrangeas would gobble up that water with the chelated iron faster than anything else could get it.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm sure.
It probably wasn't getting over to the boxwoods. Yeah, maybe it's worth it to give those boxwoods some chelated iron and just see. But it doesn't look like, the yellowing doesn't look like chlorosis.
But would it come across in a boxwood like it does in a deciduous plant?
I don't know.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I think that would be our first course of action because there's nothing else we can change. If we...
Unless it was a insect or something that was...
I don't see any insect. I don't see any fungus. It's pretty uniform. It's not like it's anything that's spread. It's just like they came out of winter one year and they never 100% greened up all the way.
Right.
I don't know. MRaz said, you are clearly a pickup truck / SUV house. Can someone in a car reach the keypad? Not very easily.
You can do it, but yeah, it's a reach.
We rarely have anybody come to our house that drives a car. Like most of the people that we, like our family members and friends, they have SUVs, trucks, or the occasional van that comes through,
Well, in rural areas, I mean, if you've never been to rural America, there's a lot of pickup trucks around here.
Yeah. Well, we've given they have clickers. Family members have clickers to get in and out. So they can get it, like Monica, for example, she can get in and out. And she's got the code and all of that. She can get...
But you still got to reach up to do the code.
And your mom. So I'm thinking Monica and your mom. Your mom has a car, but she usually comes with your dad who has a truck.
Right.
So that's not usually, it's a non-issue, but she has a clicker. Yeah. She can open it without using the keypad.
Sure.
We've tried to make it as easy as possible and then as hard as possible for anybody else to get through
There's no one perfect. I mean, it is kind of in the middle. We do have big trucks that come through. Like when Chad brings his dump trucks, or semi through, then, he can reach it. So it is just kind of in the middle for the types of vehicles that come.
Right. Okay, last group of questions come from last week's recap video. Scribney said, to remove a shrub like boxwoods, would you recommend watering before pulling it or have it as dry as possible? My dirt is like cement when dry. If it's like cement when dry, you might soften it up a little bit, but you don't want it
if you have enough power to pull it out. If you're using a pickup or a tractor like we did, it doesn't matter either way.
Sure. But if you're using something that, makes it a little bit harder. You could just soften it up a little bit, but you just wouldn't want it so sopping wet that it's heavy to then drag out afterward. Leslie said, if you were to eventually put in a swimming pool, where would you locate it on your property? At this point, if I were to put in a swimming pool, there are 2 locations that I think of that would be perfect. One would be to build a big glass solarium type of thing off the south side of our house, the front of our house, and have an indoor swimming pool.
Oh, yeah.
And just put some trees around it. That would be so awesome.
Sure.
And then we could use it all year round, and we don't have to worry about having a cover on it and having it look ugly in the winter. Or out where we're going to put the horse barn. Have a pool house instead of the horse barn, and then a pool in front of it with great big trees lining it, and then like lounge chairs lining it on either side. Like have a very beautiful vista.
Sure.
What about you?
Yeah, I like the solarium idea. I mean, these are like, I feel like both of these are like lottery, what would you do if you won the lottery kind of questions. Probably. Yeah.
Or we could put in a big old rec pond and have string algae for the rest of time. Nobody would want to swim in it. Okay, Sandra said, when you mulch with compost, do you have to do the area every year? No. It just depends. Usually the areas that we skip are areas that we don't need to heavily plant or I haven't heavily planted in. If we've had to amend drip or I've planted a lot of things, oftentimes we'll have drip tubes showing everywhere and we'll have redirected some drip lines. And so it's nice to redo over areas like that have been heavily amended.
We probably mulch with compost more often than, an average person would.
It does make things look tidy and it looks very nice.
We did it a lot before we did YouTube videos as well, though. I mean, do you remember?
Oh, yes.
When we were in the townhouse?
Oh, yes, because it was all by bag and they were heavy.
Yeah, and we did it like almost every year.
Well, sometimes more than that.
Really?
Well, I know I do it every single spring, and then every fall after I would cut back stuff, I'd be like, it would make this look nice going into winter.
Yeah. It's funny when you try to think through things like that, you're like, do I do this because I have a YouTube channel? Or, because you did garden for a while before we had YouTube, YouTube channel, and you still did the same stuff.
It's true. It's just a different
like you would do things on like sort of like some would say maybe ridiculous scale, like having the fountain in the backyard of our little townhouse. Most people that buy a little townhouse, like they don't go to the effort of.
Some people do.
Some people do. Yeah. But the vast majority, I mean, you're talking like less than 1% of people go to the effort that you did of putting in like a giant fountain that you can hardly get through the gate. And, you have to like finagle. And what do we have? Like 8 guys helping us get it back there. Maybe. Most people don't go to that effort.
Sure.
But you did back in the day.
Yeah. Got it done.
Yeah.
With 8 guys.
Yeah.
And a bunch of boards. I remember we had to put that, it was a big solid concrete basin and you guys put it on its side.
And just rolled it, right?
But it was like octagon, so like da-dunk, da-dunk, or whatever.
And it was heavy it was really awkward because it was heavy on one side. Right. Because the open side, so you have to have like more guys on one side to keep it from tipping over.
Right.
And the whole time it wants to tip over. So you have to keep like pushing it 2 directions at once to get it to da-dunk, da-dunk, da-dunk. We got it.
Yeah, you sure did. Sandy said, is there anything you can do to stop the leaf cutter bees from cutting your leaves? I don't know of any way to do that.
Spray them.
Oh, geez. No. The only thing
How do you even find them?
Well, I don't know. The only thing that they are messing with is my Rising Sun Redbud. And that thing looks so pitiful anyway because I planted it right when it started to get hot and it's right in the full sun and I think it needs a little time to root in. I think it'll look a lot better next year. In fact, the same thing happened to the Vanilla Twist Redbud that I put in the Dirtlands of all places. And that tree looks glorious out there. It's glorious. And leaf cutters haven't found that one. But they found my Rising Sun, the poor thing. And I don't know once it's established if you'll actually notice the leaf cutter damage.
Yeah.
Because it'll be kind of set back. I think it'll still be fine there. JRP58 said, I always enjoy the recap videos. I learned so much watching your channel over the years. Question, is there a reason you don't plant the heirloom mums out in your landscape? I should go through those and see what varieties I can't remember all of them. And put like white ones out in the landscape and put some of those that I really like the colors of out there. I've got lots of different varieties still. And that's probably the solution, is just find a spot, maybe even along the back of the south garden where I need to just fill in some gaps back in there. It's really looking good back there, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Just fill in some of that space with some of those things would be good. come what may. I mean, I just don't have a good spot for them picked out.
Sure.
BD's Life said, love your content. I watch every day. I know it's a bit early, but where do you purchase your seed garlic? At my parents' garden center. I've been using off of my same seed garlic, though, for the last couple of years. So I'll just, dig my harvest, which mine was kind of pitiful this year. So is my parents' and Monica's. It must just be a year. We didn't have super big stocks this year. We'll have garlic to use. But, of course, this is the year I planted about 2/3 less than I normally plant. It's okay. Anyway, so I'll probably replenish and do some different varieties, and I get that seed garlic from my parents' garden center, which you can order from them when they have it in stock. Teresa said, in regard to wearing gloves, question, have you ever tried the O'Keeffe's Working Hands Cream? I've been gardening for years, and it's truly the best. I rarely wear gloves. I just put it on every night before bed. I think somebody's given that to me before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I can't recall, using it enough to see a difference, I guess. I do, put lotion on every day, though. But the gloves do help a lot. They help a lot with my nails and not looking so bad. I've taken my gloves off a couple times this past week, so I have a couple of spots where they're looking a little rough, but it's overall been a little bit better this year. More Food said, have you ever considered doing a live YouTube post? Not really. It's just so much. It's too much. You know what I mean? We film 6 videos. We do 6 videos a week. And I do try to, I kind of post on Instagram, not as much as I used to. But yeah, we have a really busy life even apart from what we do for YouTube, what we're doing out in the garden. There's a lot of other things going on. So we try to balance that. And if I just add more to it, I think about it every once in a while, maybe we could reach, reach to different people or whatever if we did this or that, but then is it worth it?
Right.
Is it worth the extra time and taking away from time with the kids? And no, it's not worth it.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. In live stuff, you can't edit it. And that kind of freaks me out just a little bit. Trey said, would you ever plant another willow tree just in case one were to die? I love the willow trees. Maybe I would.
Wouldn't hurt to plant. Your mom got some in. Did they sell?
Yeah, they sold fast.
Yeah.
People are excited about that.
Didn't she get them from Canada or something?
I can't remember. I
I remembered that her saying that they came from an unusual source.
Oh, really?
Because it doesn't really make sense for us to be buying from Canada when there's so many growers in Oregon.
Well, a lot of them wouldn't supply those for a long time, the weeping willows.
Yeah.
They are a tree you have to treat with systemic once a year. They are messy when the wind blows, but they are glorious. They give a lot in return.
Yeah.
And they grow pretty fast too. Last question is from Pamela. For the areas in the pond where the kids don't play, have you thought of putting your auger in the water without touching the bottom to agitate it to mimic the kids playing to clear the water? That's scary.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to punch a hole in the liner.
Well, she did indicate don't without touching the bottom, but that would be hard
I don't even want to get it close.
I know. I don't even want to go there. I think we just need to get in it. Aaron and I were actually just talking. We should film a video together because we both need to get in there. I need to take care of plants. You wanted to get more string algae out. We just need to make a day of it.
Yeah.
And get in there and
I
do
need to
that.
spend a good 2 or 3 hours.
Kids would love it.
Yeah.
Kids get in it about every day. Couple clothes changes every day.
Yeah, they love
it.
Yeah, definitely don't need a swimming pool for the kids right now.
No, it's very true.
They just jump in the pond.
Safe, not that any water is safe, but it's a safer option.
They find so many things to play with. And all the little fish, they find little fish and follow them around.
They explore.
They explore more. Whereas in a pool, you have to bring toys or balls or something to play with, because it gets a little boring after a while. But in the pond, there's so much.
Well, in the rocks, they like to rock jump. They'll just jump the perimeter of the whole, not the whole thing. They actually know that they can't go past. You know where the rock, where you have to step over the rock, step over the water as part of the pathway. They know they're not to go past that toward the old part of the pond where it gets deeper. Benjamin can touch the bottom. He would be fine. But Samantha cannot touch the bottom, and she doesn't know how to fully swim yet. So she's not allowed to go past that point. Yeah. And she knows that. They don't even play on the rocks over there. Yeah. It's on the more stream portion.
There's a really nice shady spot that you can sit in. And so the kids are playing and I just kind of lounge in the chair while they're doing their thing.
You get a lot of work done from your phone.
Yeah, I do.
At that point.
But what's funny is that, the kids discover so much stuff and Benjamin will be like, Dad, there's a shrimp in the pond.
He told me that the other day.
And I'm like, awesome, dude. We have shrimp now.
Yeah.
He gets so excited about it.
He does.
I don't even know what he found, but it was a shrimp.
It was a shrimp. He came and told me about it later.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's it for today's recap video. Remember, we are still doing the free shipping on orders over $49 through tomorrow night. So if you've been thinking of getting anything, now would be the time for free shipping. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great week. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.